Now, WYFF News 4 presents For the Record.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. I'm Carlos Flores in for Nigel Robertson. WYFF4 is committed to bringing you important issues that are affecting our community, and that is what we plan to do each Sunday morning. Today's focus, Hispanic Heritage Month and the impact it has here in the Carolinas. We'll speak with those working to close the gap for the Hispanic community right here in the upstate. But joining me first this morning is Andrew Skinner and Vanessa Rodriguez with the Hispanic Alliance. Hello to you both.
Hi, how are you?
Well, let's go ahead and dive right in. For people who don't know, what is the Hispanic Alliance and its mission?
Yes, the Hispanic Alliance is a community-based organization that connects the people with information, resources, and celebrate cultures. We collaborate across cultures and try to give the people in need information in both Spanish and English, and to close that gap that you are talking.
Knowing that that this gap is there, kind of from what you have seen, how big is it from over the past couple of years?
Well, we are the 11% here in Greenville. Yes, we moved forward during last years. We walk, but there's a lot of more work to do here in the Hispanic community.
And go ahead. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah. So the gap in our community, it's better than it was 10 years ago, right?
Yes.
There are wonderful organizations. There are people who have trailblazed a path for more equitable access, but especially in arenas of like healthcare and affordable access to quality, competent service providers in the upstate. There's a big lack of resources there, especially in Spanish-speaking healthcare providers. Additionally, our students face a little bit extra, some more extra obstacles to navigate the path to opportunity. It's great from our perspective to be a part of this ecosystem. The partners that you're talking to today, we have wonderful people that we work with in the community to create this ecosystem of opportunity to close that gap, right? And make this quality of life a little bit closer and reach to those that need it.
And for people who are interested in getting involved in the organization, kind of tell me, how can people get involved, even if it's being a part of the organization itself or just doing small events on the side?
Absolutely. So we have a lot of different opportunities to get involved. We just started our Lunch and Learn series, where we go into 15 Greenville County schools, lunchtimes on Fridays. You've been there a couple of times and shared your story of success, and you know, these are the steps that Hispanic students can take to navigate their path to college, to fill out scholarship applications, or even to look at alternative career paths as an option. We had just had our citizenship workshop this past Saturday, where some people come and volunteer, and these are trained volunteer opportunities where they assist people in the community with their application to citizenship. So whether you're a passionate volunteer, you're Hispanic or not, the Hispanic Alliance will equip you with the resources that you need to make a difference. One of the things that I love most about our organization is in our name, right? Is that we are an alliance, and it takes people from all walks of life and all backgrounds to stand up and to be a champion and to advocate for change that needs to be made in our community to close that gap and make people feel more welcome.
And we understand that there is much more work to be done, but I think it also is important, especially during this month, to remember how far we've come. In your eyes, kind of what have you seen in the upstate to show just the extent of growth in terms of resources and the amount of people and love and the culture that you've noticed in the Hispanic community?
So I have a wonderful answer, and I think you get to talk to Gisela later. Last year I had the opportunity to speak with her at depth and hear her story a little bit. And one of the things that rings in my head of our conversation was that, 10 years ago when she'd go out into the community, it wasn't that she would turn around and see somebody else who was Hispanic or Latino, right? It was a little bit more isolated. There just weren't as many people as there are now. It's awesome, the explosion of growth that we're experiencing here in the upstate. Where our community is now as opposed to where it was 10 years ago, there's absolutely a little bit more cohesion. There's more awareness in our community. There's strength in numbers and people that believe and want to make Greenville a special place for everybody, no matter their background.
And I think probably just being able to be a part of some of the events y'all have held, kind of how does it feel knowing that you're impacting a younger generation that some of them even just came to the country a couple weeks ago, a month ago, and to know that you're already there reaching out to them, giving them the resources they need just to allow them just to kind of touch their feet to the ground and kind of move along into the new home?
It's a special opportunity to get to reach out to a young Hispanic audience and find that point of early intervention, so that some of the cultural obstacles and barriers that these kids may face, we can stop that and change their path forward into one that is equitable, that is inclusive, and has an opportunity for prosperity.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Coming up, going to college, we look at one group in the upstate giving young Hispanic people the chance at getting a degree.